We'll start with McGilda's death. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Trial just started? Okay. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime where Mr. McGilda had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No.
How could such a thing have happened?
That is being investigated as we speak, but already the police have identified a corpse found inside the charged shell of the carriage as that of McGilded. Somebody ate McGilded in McDonald's. Either way, he's McGrilled now.
McGrilled.
Burn. Literally.
Oh no.
That's awful. The man must have slipped inside, whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention.
And how could that have happened?
That is also being investigated as we speak.
Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilda did mention going back into the courtroom to look on the omnibus.
Well, I must be making tracks now. It is time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? I'm going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. There's an inspection of the omnibus. Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. This person you dislike McGilda, but he's a fun character and is trying to prove his guilt. Yeah, I think he's a fun character, especially because of the whole Irish, it's not slang, but like mannerisms. But then who is Mr. McGilda talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police.
Poor Mr. McGilden.
Yeah, Gina's was fun too. Out of that case, I'll miss your Bruce Fairplay accent. Inheritance.
This one here. Well, this is just how I talk now, so it's okay. You didn't miss much.
So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow.
Mr. Naruto means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old.
Wow, Suzato-san has such a way with words.
And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. Oof. Yikes. Suzato, that's a lot.
Listen, he's not a good speaker. Definitely not something you need for like being a lawyer.
Fair enough.
The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair.
Simple? That was simple?
As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose.
To be contrary, Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple.
You want him to give you a hug, cool name? The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. I mean, kinda cool name. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much is at least an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I've prepared a new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before?
Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned?
Don't tell me it's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment.
2 murders, and it starts in 15 minutes. You've got plenty of time.
In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did you just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died, as yet. And the trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow, then.
Is everything alright?
Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was, well, it left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo.
I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilted's trial. You don't think he's dead, cool name? If you don't see them die on screen or the body, they aren't dead.
He's an Irish phoenix.
He's rising from the ashes. I nearly forgot.
Rising from the pot of gold.
The pot of golden ashes. That's what happens when Irish people die. They just leave behind golden ashes.
Oh, then I'm excited for my significant other to finally pass.
Oh, jeez. Maybe not say that on, like, a recorded video.
I'm giving people evidence for, whatchamacallit, for my case.
I'm not defending that. Yes, I nearly forgot. There's one similarity with yesterday's case. Hey there, Shady. Go over the rainbow to find his Lucky Charms. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome.
The most terrible end awaits the defendant.
Bad ending. Yes, that's right. Okay, here we go again. Cool name. Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds till the court sits. Last time he mentioned 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing.
Oh.
Another thing. Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important. No, this is you, but something very important
I have to do.
And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he'd ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion.
Mr. Naruto, what's all this about? Mr. Soga never once mentioned anything of the sort to me.
I urge you,
pearl energy.
I urge you both to focus your attention to the matter at hand. Does she?
Well, it's like Kazuma never said anything to me about a lion.
I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell.
You can try your best fair play impression with this guy. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean?
I wish I... Wait, why am I doing his? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me.
I wish I knew.
Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think?
Yes, you're right.
You can go for a cup of tea, strong heart. Please warm your... Okay, cool name, okay. May need to relax a little. Why are you crying? I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all.
Is he eating a doner kebab?
Could we trouble you?
Oh, he's eating fish and
it's
chips
yeah,
off
fish.
of a newspaper.
That's how they eat them in
Oh, fair
England.
enough. He's also apparently Jesus, because
Yeah, he has infinite fish and chips. What do you think? Ugh. Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Ugh. Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eating out of hand, you know? Ugh, but Sato-san told me it was foolproof. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm having to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Yeah, regenerating...
In England, they actually...
Oh, sorry about your allergy school name. What? In England, what?
I was just going to say that in England, they actually don't have the Cookie Monster. They actually have the Fish and Chips Monster. It's a very common... It's like Big Bird. They have multiple different kinds of Big Bird.
Wait, are you being serious, or...?
I mean, maybe. You'll never know.
Me too, Shady. Can you imagine what the other officers there would be saying, Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days.
Gregson.
And all because some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound?
Careful, otherwise...
That's a reputation at the yard going to tatters. What? Be careful,
I'm saying you gotta be careful, otherwise he's gonna have to get conscripted to work for a certain construction company.
There's no need to rip us apart as well.
Do you get the reference?
No.
Sound off in the comments if you get the reference. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer.
Eh?
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant,
Eh?
It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
gosh.
How did she pull that off?
He's like, oh, pretty lady.
So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. My name's Tobias Gregson, Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Okay, do you know this? Inheritance?
Well, like I was saying before, Gregson is an homage to the Bolson Construction Company in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And Tobias is a representation of Tobias Funke, which is a very prominent British writer who wrote Septimus Heap, a young adult novel series about the seventh child of the seventh child would get the magical powers.
You are very close. He's a character from the Sherlock Holmes stories.
Oh, close enough. I mean, that's kind of what I meant. You know, you had to read between the lines.
Gregson, Inspector Gregson?
What's the matter with Zeta-san? Does the detective's name mean something to her?
He just has a long-lost twin in Japan. Greguson.
Inspector, are you perhaps...
I mean, this is like... Cool name, this is like late 1800s Japan. Like, Susato is probably, for all intents and purposes, an adult. And has adult responsibilities. So, I mean, she would act mature.
Inspector Gregson?
Oh, he's eating it up. Get it? Literally.
Oh, you're acting like you know this man, Mrs. Susato. But he's a London detective.
Oh, I do know him. Very valid fact.
Very well.
Yes, he features prominently in the affections of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, and that publication. What's it called again? Ranced Magazine?
That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry.
Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time.
Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise.
It's meant to be old-timey Maya, you don't buy it. 4K's in, she's already not been arrested once. She's not old-timey Maya. She does no relation to Maya.
Gregson is the pick of the bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words.
That's his highest praise?
Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see.
That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? Humph. I have to admit that to start with I was a little, well, flattered by the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation on the yard went through the roof. That's wonderful. No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors?
Are you quite sure?
He's changed since he started appearing in the stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that.
Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you?
No, cool name. She's not Maya's ancestor. She has no relation to Maya. Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folks are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs. As sure as eggs is eggs.
Pixies.
I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work.
Oh dear, perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people.
I know I changed when I became a streamer. Other people asking for autographs, it's very concerning.
Yeah, but I wish they were just paper autographs. I'm getting sick of the places I have to sign.
You win this joke off. I appreciate it. I tip my hat off to you.
So I'm about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Is Van Ziek's Edward? No. The only ones who are ancestors is Ryunosuke and Ouchi. Those are the only two. Shady. No, Shady wins. Nothing to tell, really.
What did Shady say?
I asked you to sign my butt one time. Ouchie was the prosecutor in the first case. School name.
Takezuchi Ouchi.
As far as we're concerned of the yard, it couldn't be simpler.
Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated.
Wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement at Brow Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in hospital, unconscious.
That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack a poor woman from behind?
I suppose you would have to finish up. You would have finished whoever was off with this auto takedown, would you?
That's neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo.
Brace yourself, Franske. You've angered her now.
How are you?
Anyways, after something a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit.
Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question?
Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecution's been assigned to the trial tomorrow. Lord Baroque von Zeeks. No. Sounds like you've heard of him then.
Oh yes, we're very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks.
I think it's a you problem,
It would be
Quill
fun
name.
if they made difficulty options, and the difficulty options were just different prosecutors, and some of them, like, obviously it doesn't work in this kind of way that this game works, but like that'd be like an interesting concept.
Well, then I'd have to replay the game with every prosecutor to get all of the
Just-
dialogue.
Different villains, yeah. Just some of them are like more, like some of them are better.
Believed to be the harbinger of death himself.
The Reaper of the Bailey. Yeah, the easy mode prosecutor never won a case.
Yeah.
Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Baroque von Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday.
Mr. McGilded told us about him before the trial, didn't he?
Oh, that's me or that's you?
What? Who did they say?
This is McGilded,
Oh,
theoretically,
when-
but this is her remembering McGilded speaking. So
depends. Do you want to do her doing an Irish accent, or should I do it?
When Van Zeek stands up for the prosecution, they call the accusers sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, he's been accused. The accuser's been damned.
it's a Japanese lady with a British accent pretending to have an Irish accent spoken by a Hispanic person.
You have almost every representation in there.
I know. That's so
The Reaper
funny.
of the Reaper of the Bailey nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty. Is that it? Easy mode prosecutor admits to being the murderer in every trial, even if there isn't one. Good, Shady.
Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty.
Huh. And what of it?
Oh, well, I think that means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant.
No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah, Magnus McGilded came a cropper in the omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zeeks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic.
Ah.
I'd have a good long think about that if I were you.
So he hasn't won every case.
No,
even in the cases he loses,
the defendant always dies.
The defendant always dies.
Are we really supposed to believe that?
That's neat.
Is it? I mean, not for the defendants, especially the innocent ones.
I mean, yeah, but like, I voiced Von Zeke, so it's like I have to have camaraderie with him or whatever.
Right. Well, if I didn't it is requested. I'm very nearly out of chips, so I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there.
So I was concerned because the Jesus analogy wouldn't stick with the chips, but clearly he is Jesus because he has infinite fish, but not infinite chips.
Well, I mean, you can't have fish without chips, so that's sacrilegious.
What do you think I am?
Like
chips and no fish, and fish and no
like
chips.
Jesus was lucky enough that he had a huge supply of chips when that happened. Otherwise, the fish would have been useless.
Yeah, that part is omitted from the Bible.
I mean, that part is obvious. It's a given. So
it's so heavily just.
It's a given because
you have to think about it. Yeah.
Well, because otherwise nobody would have eaten the fish. So.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I'm sorry. I didn't read through the lines clearly enough. I apologize.
It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place.
That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already. He's as good as. Shaking like a leaf in a cell he is. It'll give you a chuckle, if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Inmate 53, thank you. Turns water into tartar sauce. Good uncool name. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. I like to think that it's any contact with him, so like if he drinks water, it turns into tartar sauce. And as soon as it touches lips.
He's never had a sip of water in his life.
He's not made out of 98% water. It's 98% tartar sauce. Just imagine the smell. You can smell him coming a mile away.
Oh, it's so bad on a hot London day. Ugh. Oh God, mayonnaise. Ugh. Something is troubling me. I'll tell you what, Susanna.
That's cool. You said the
troubling you, Mr. No?
The last 8% is fish. So he just made out
the other
fish 8%. And tartar sauce.
Ooh. And not infinite chips. The bit still works.
To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking.
I mean, that's why Gregson lives in a house made out of chips.
Well, you know what they say, those who live in chip houses.
The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too.
Yeah, at this point, you're not going to get kicked out of the country. They accepted you.
But if the man they've arrested is innocent... Yeah, not going to get kicked out, but if he surrender, he's screwed. I could very well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in a cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny.
So...
If I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm not really sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help?
Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I'm your judicial assistant.
Thank you. So then, shall we?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, which place should we go first?
Let's go to prison to meet the new character.
Inheritance 2021. Let's go to prison.
Let's go to prison.
Nobody clip that out of context.
This is like...
Late 1800s prison. It's not a pretty place.
Yeah.
These are British prison cells.
Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon.
Yes.
So the other bit still works too.
Yes, and
this is Breath of the Wild world.
I don't remember that bit.
The Hyrule Shield is somewhere in there.
Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls.
I wonder about that. That'd be fun.
Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem biased.
Yeah, cool name. You don't want to end up there. Make sure you're careful. Apparently our client is in the cell here, but it's so dark at the back there I can't make him out. Wonder what he's like. Sure. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop hiding in the back of the cell and show your face at once. How am I gonna do this? Am I a cat as yet with no name? Calling me by a number. It's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable. I refuse to answer.
Is this
Mr. Naruhodo? What? What do you think is going on here?
I have no idea. But I wasn't hearing things, was
Osanaga?
I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. No, it's just a different Japanese man. Okay. Excuse me, but shh, quiet! They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening, even now. I could sense it.
This guy's neurotic.
Right. So, could I ask you, who exactly... There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost. A ghost?
Oh, this is a weird angle.
We mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you...
Prisoner-san.
Ugh, God.
Japanese by any chance?
It's just he's speaking in Japanese now. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
When she uses Mr., it's English, and San is and
Yeah.
Sama's.
Yep. This is beyond my wildest dreams.
God. I wish I...
Forgive
Go
me
ahead.
for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. You wish so?
I wish we were like bilingual, and we could like play it in like it's intended. Like when they're speaking English, it would be English and Japanese and Japanese. That'd be so cool.
But then nobody will understand. I guess they can read.
Yeah.
But then how will the kids understand?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wish that there was like an option for you to turn it on, that it does that, because that'd be so immersive. Like that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, there's more context because they're using this language instead, and it's very clear. I
Yeah.
don't know, I just like in a perfect world.
And cool name. My profile pic is it's a Blarg. It's an enemy from Mario World. Oh, it's fine. We're just a little surprised. That's all. Imagine it. It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this dark hellhole was most monumentally moving moment.
Oh my god.
Who could have guessed this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? Ah, what compassion my fellow countrymen show. To dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here.
Wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example.
Yes, I can, I will. Shan't stay sullen and silent.
Oh my god.
I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy.
Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for the cooperation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naohara.
And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba.
I am a visiting student sent here by our government, notably notoriously named Natsume. Suseki Natsume. Sorry, need to remember how to pronounce.
Natsume means summer.
Okay, but do you is that your full guess on his name?
Oh, Soseki. Soseki. Is it something to do with being on a journey or like being in a different world?
I mean, I don't know what the names mean because, to be honest, this is a real person. This was a real historical person that lived at this time.
Oh, Soseki Natsume was
that was indeed a visiting student in London. Like, don't look him up at all because it'll have spoilers for stuff.
Like the real human will have spoilers.
Yes, it's accurate. Like literally everything about him is accurate.
Oh, fun. But yeah, Natsume means either summer or summer child or something.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess who knows? His parents named him that for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, Natsume is a last name, so it would be like Natsume Soseki. Yes.
Soseki Natsume-san. What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku.
Oh my gosh, has this all been haiku?
It's something of a nom de plume. What?
Has everything he's been saying a haiku so far?
No, he hasn't said any haikus. I think that the parts where he's posing, which are using alliteration in this, they were probably haikus in the Japanese. But they changed it. They changed it to him just doing alliteration in English.
Fair enough. There's a village in Dragon Quest XI where everybody speaks in haiku. That's very common.
Spoiler!
In the series.
I haven't finished that game.
It's a trope from the series. Like it's in other games. I'm just saying.
Spoiler! I haven't finished any of the games.
Fair enough.
I played like 3 or 4 of them and just never finished any. A nom de plume? You mean an alias?
That's right, Naruhodo-san.
By the way, I'm not sure if you remember the first thing he said in this case was "I am a cat." I'm not sure if you remember saying that. "I am a cat" is the most famous publication by Soseki Natsume.
俺は猫です。私は猫です。
I think the name's in English, but I'm not sure.
Oh, literally, I am a cat. Oh yeah, because he was in England. That's fair.
No, don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku? That really reminds me of a home. Of home.
Of a home.
Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government?
Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. Which is true, he was an English student or a student of English literature I had to suffer that misery, and now this. It's beyond the pale. Have a good night, Cool Name. Thanks for
Bye, Cool Name.
Thanks for stopping by. Suffer that misery. Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it? No.
What do you mean?
If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable. I see. Only the other day, I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words and whitewashy.
You must be a man of great standing.
Oh yes, so I'm often told. And often like to be told, it seems.
I'm gonna turn my camera off real quick so I can take off some layers. It's getting real warm in this room.
Okay.
Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Sasaki-san?
I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder.
Murder?
Oh, no. It's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes.
Before your eyes?
Oh, this
you
is
mean
me.
You saw the attacker?
This is me. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, did you think I'd be locked up in here?
Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated.
Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So Sasaki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker.
It's vital that we find out more about the case.
It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too? As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet.
How terrible.
I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard.
I feel like that's stretching it.
Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that.
Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours?
Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English, and a young woman at that? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. That was true about him. About Natsume.
He was diffident, shy, timid, and unsure.
He was unable to talk to anybody. He was really like in his shell the entire time. And very paranoid.
Yikes.
And talked about everything, about the places being cursed and how he needed to get out. It was only while he was in there. His mental health took a tank while he was in London. And it was back to normal when he went back to Japan.
That must have been embarrassing for him.
Well, he was one of the very few Japanese people in the entire city at that time, so he probably felt very alone.
Yeah, and people didn't probably make it very easy for him to exist there.
Yeah, people are probably racist too, because they're not used to anybody from Asia. I see it, a young woman, a nurse to Soseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great.
So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it?
What conundrum? Really? You don't see it, Ryunosuke? What do you mean, Suzato-san? What's the conundrum?
Well, if what Saseki-san just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says he didn't know the victim and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen.
I did. But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Ugh, you... What did you say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought that a little loudly.
Actually, that's not what's troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Saseki-san actually come to be arrested?
Sorry?
We didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him.
Is your camera still off?
No. I have it on my end.
It might be, There we go.
So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place?
Yes, she's right. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. I've all the bad luck. Accursed great detective. Could it be? I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his hearty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed busybody, begone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Herr Lack Schulms. I knew it.
Problematic.
Mr. Sholmes?
Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police! Put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination, devils. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herr Lack Schulms. It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London.
Yes, the great detective is really very well known.
And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak, stooped kitten of a man. I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time.
Do you mean to say that Mr. Holmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable.
Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in.
Of course you were. That's only natural.
I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question in me. Impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flammery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English.
So funny.
Good point. Put my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine.
That's Apollo Justice, right?
Yeah, it's probably a light reference to them, but also, like, it's sad because he was like, he didn't even know what they were saying at that point. And he just was shouting like, yes, I do, because he was freaking out. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here.
Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising.
I'm fine. He's not fine now. Mr. Nohodo, Esquire. Oh, you can just call me Nohodo. And when we're speaking English, simple Mr. is more than enough. Oh, yes. Alright. Yes. They've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I have defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means.
Odo-san?
Not even the foreign student who is supposed to be here. I'm sort of a locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband, that's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He's my best friend. A keepsake. I know exactly what they're saying about me.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, who do you mean?
The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't have defended me.
Goodness, why do you say that?
For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot, without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say, the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me.
That's rough.
So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Soseki-san, it's just that. Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean?
We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If you can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for.
Well, we're done here.
To Briar Road.
Well, it loads in. I need to turn some lights on. It's gonna get dark really fast.